Welcome to the Business Information Buffet podcast, brought to you by the Minority Business Development Agency. Each week, we'll be featuring business owners and entrepreneurs that will provide their personal recipe for business, powerful conversations, and knowledge of the business world. We amplify the stories of various backgrounds, cultures, and expertise. Our self-identity is as diverse as our social community. We cultivate a community of like-minded individuals that share their different perspectives, broadening our worldview. Are you ready? This is the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Business Information Buffet podcast, also known as the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats, here at the College of Southern Nevada at the North Las Vegas campus for another phenomenal episode. I am your host, Sean Torrey, with our DJ Icebreak. So unfortunately, he could not be here today. He had to attend a funeral, but we're going to make sure we do things right for his honor. And our topic today is called Turning a Cocktail Lounge into a Classic Jewel, with a special guest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have another special guest among us today, okay? Our guest today has made her start working in sports and entertainment after graduating from Arizona State University, where she became a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, her career led her into work with franchises in the NBA and NHL and iHeartRadio. She's phenomenal. Y'all hear this? Living between Atlanta and New York City. In 2015, our guest made her way back to her hometown in Las Vegas to pursue an entrepreneurship dreams to investing in her hometown. Ladies, gentlemen, she has done just that. Entrepreneurship has always been something that has allowed her and our guests to make sure that she can directly serve our community. So she's been able to be a part of several organizations around the city, from nonprofits, small businesses, political and community-based organizations. She is an active member of the Las Vegas Urban Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Vegas Alliance, and serves on the board of directors for Battleborn Progress. Y'all hear it? First, come on now. Give it a happy hour, Earl. Give her a round of applause. Look, come on now. Before I introduce this, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the founder and co-owner of my favorite cocktail and lounge bar, known as Classic Jewel, Miss Ryan Brown. What's going on, ma'am? How you doing?
Wow, that intro, I have goosebumps.
Come on now.
You are so good, Sean. You're so good.
Don't hype me up now. You know you good over there.
No, I could not follow that act. That was so good. Had me questioning, is that about me?
That's about you, ma'am.
Wow, so awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
Man,
I'm so honored to be here. You have done a phenomenal job with everything that you do. You're such a class act and such a great friend and supporter.
Of course.
So yes, thank you. This feels like a familiar reunion, a conversation amongst friends. So thank you for the opportunity.
Man, thank you for blessing us. Because Ms. Ryan, I've known you for a good long time now, ever since you started Classic Jewel. And me and you and your dad, Rome, sorry, I don't know why I said Ron, thinking of Ron Stiles Smith says, shout out to Ron. But to meet you and Rome and the whole family, I love your mom. I love your sister. All y'all are so, like, if you've never been to Classic Jewel, I'm telling you, it's literally my go-to. Every time I tell anyone who comes into town, I say, you have to go to Classic. And I'm not joking about that.
No,
because
he does just that.
I make sure, because you feel home when you go there. Anyone who's ever been like an event host or who's ever done an event, you've had to you've done it at Classic at some point in your career, I should say, right? So, Ryan, outside of your bio, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm from here in Las Vegas, and it was very unique growing up here.
Right.
I went to high school at Centennial High School, graduated in 2004, went on to Arizona State University. I am a proud Sun Devil. I went, of course, for the academics.
Right.
It didn't hurt that at the time it was the #1 party school in the nation.
Man, it was.
So I feel like I was already on that track of cocktail lounges and entertainment before I even knew it.
Right.
And then from there, after graduated in 2007, took an opportunity to work in sports in Atlanta. and I'd never been to Atlanta. I'd never been to a place where I saw so many people that looked like us and that were entrepreneurs in different ways, you know. So I'd already been exposed to entrepreneurship with my mother and my father when I was young. But, you know, I'd never really I never saw it really right in front of me. So between that experience right out of school, working in Atlanta in sports, then going to New York, it was just kind of a transition of just gathering as much information as possible. So I loved getting that start right out of school, and it has helped me so much to even find my space here back in Las Vegas.
Man, see, come on now. Y'all heard this queen up here talking and spitting all that greatness she has going on. Not everyone can do what you've done. And what brought you, like, the part that really got me. And first of all, huge shout out to you for Centennial. Shout out to Centennial Bulldogs, all the homies who came through there. Yes, Sarah went to Centennial.
Yes, Sarah, yes.
A truth, I went there one semester, played football there one semester. I never claim it, but I tell the truth for Sarah today. Like, I'm gonna make sure y'all know I did go there, and I
did not know that.
Yes, I went to Centennial one semester, but I am a pioneer. I went to Sea Springs, Canyon Springs, Leadership and Law Preparatory Academy, the best school across the nation of all nations of high schools. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
That's fine. They didn't have that when I was in high school. So I'm just, I'm going to throw that out there.
They came the next year.
Is that? Maybe.
Yeah, they came the next year because 04, 05 was the first year. And then I came 05, 06. That was my freshman year.
Yes, showing my age a little bit.
It's okay.
I was already in Arizona by then. But I had a great experience growing up out here. I mean, I know that was far in the Northwest and we're downtown now. So a lot has happened. The growth of Las Vegas.
Yes, salute to that. Because you know what's crazy? Full circle. My fiance is the school counselor there now.
That is
it's crazy,
the
right?
fact that, and I think I forget that we keep getting older.
Yes.
Because that just sounds like, there's
crazy.
no way. She's too young. There's no way. Wow. Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Man, thank you, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Centennial has changed a lot. And I'm happy to see we have great products who come out of the CCSD school district, right? So what was it that brought you back to Vegas? Because as you know, us who are from Vegas, many of us do the best not to come back.
Right.
And it's not that we don't have love for Vegas, but at the same time, growing up here, you have so many people who come here who integrate to Vegas and there's like, oh, Vegas has no culture. Vegas doesn't have this. And we're always confronted with like, man, wish we were, because then we travel to other cities and we see what it's like.
Right.
But people forget that Vegas is such a young city. And now our generation is creating a culture because now it's normal for us to go downtown. Back in the day, we were not going downtown.
Right.
So tell us about that transition to come to invest back home.
Right. Okay. So phenomenal question. And, just full transparency, I was one of those people that was like, I'm not coming back.
Me too.
And it's hard to say that, but growing up out here, we didn't grow up in a city that really catered to young people. So even though Vegas is magical and so unique in its own right, it really was a little bit challenging to kind of see yourself as an adult in it.
Right.
Because, we couldn't do anything. There were so many things that we couldn't do. And we had community organizations and things like that brought the youth in. But it was still hard to see ourselves as adults here.
I agree.
So I think I have gained an appreciation for our city because I've traveled the world at this point, and I've worked in other cities that are, further established, like, New York City.
Right.
And it's easy to compare and contrast. It's easy to think like, well, why don't we have this culture and why don't we have that?
Right.
It's easy to be a part of the peanut gallery and, throwing our opinions and that energy around. And I was absolutely part of that problem. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's important to look at our city in a unique way for exactly what it is.
I agree.
And realize like we have a phenomenal opportunity to invest and build in a city that's, I know I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think the last time I checked it was, we were like 115, which again, I'm very wrong with these numbers.
No worries. You're
good. But that is very rare to do, to be a part of a downtown.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, most cities are already so further along and established, and we are now, you know, seeing professional teams.
Yes.
We're seeing, you know, big companies come out here. Our airport has gone through so many renovations to cater to more direct international flights. So to not see that happening,
Right.
you know, like Elon Musk has a effort here in Las Vegas with the Boring Company, which is the Tesla shuttles that
Teslas-
are going back
that's
to
right.
the convention
That's
center.
right. That's
so I
right.
think in being the nerd that I am, like I'm always reading about information, finding out what's coming to Vegas. And so I looked at it as, wow, this is an opportunity
Right.
to be a pioneer, to be a trailblazer in a city that isn't new, but is still, you know, we're gaining new energy right now. There's so many people that hit me up from New York, Chicago, LA, Miami that are like, Vegas is like the next move.
It is. And that's I think right now, because even man, trust me, coming back to Vegas as an adult was different than leaving when I was 18. I left when I was 18, came back when I was 22. And at that point I was like, oh, Vegas is different. And I was only 4 years of me being in college to notice like, oh, something's happening. And now being back home 8 years now, because I graduated college 2013. So being back here now and being a professional, I'm like, okay, there's the hopes and talks and conversations we were having back then as far as like what downtown's looking like, it's here now.
And it's been able to, I get kind of like excited and I get goosebumps when I think about it because we've watched it.
Oh, we did watch it.
We've watched it
That's
happen.
true.
I remember being in high school, going to the groundbreaking ceremony of Jewel when it was a plot of dirt.
That's
When it was a
wild.
plot of dirt. And at the time, my stepfather, Franklin Simpson, who is, rest in peace, also frat, and who is really the reason why I got so involved in
Right.
like even knowing like, you know, community efforts and things like that, because growing up in Centennial Hills, it wasn't representative of, you know, what my life was like growing up at Second Baptist,
Baptist,
and
yeah,
going to
yeah.
Victory and being a part of,
Shout
you
out
know,
to frat, by the way. Yes.
yes. And then, you know, having mentors like, you know, well, Larry Weekly, and, you know,
Weekly.
so I've had
Salute.
an opportunity to appreciate the city from like the inside and then leave and then appreciate it from the outside.
Right.
So when you think about, you know, I think about going to Triple George when I was in
Triple
high school,
George.
when my stepdad was working at the city, and, you know, being a part of like the Weed and Seed efforts and
Right,
things
right,
like
right.
that, those programs, it makes coming back a priority,
Right.
even when it was hard, even when it in all honesty, I felt like, did I fail in some kind of way?
Mm-hmm.
Because the energy made me feel like I had to come back home, but that
Gotcha.
was not the case.
Gotcha.
And so I had to kind of like rethink my thought process on our city and like, wait a minute, we're going to let all these outsiders come here, take over when we know the city inside and out. We have
Agreed.
roots here, whether it's, you know, community or religious or family or whatever that is. And I just wanted to be a part of the solution, and my family was on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had already invested downtown so much earlier, and
Talk
then
that.
so it worked out. And you know, she met Rome when I was living in Atlanta. I think
Okay.
I was living in Atlanta
You're in
at the
Atlanta
time.
at the time? Okay.
And so, you know, they fell in love, and, you know, I got to know him through their relationship. And as we kind of sat down, and they would visit me in Atlanta and had come to see me in New York. And at the time, you know, my sister, she's, you know, living her best life, and she's a flight attendant. She's
All right.
always somewhere.
Salute to her.
Selena
She's
is the
always
best.
somewhere.
Yes, I don't even know where she is right now. I know I'm helping her with her dog, so she's probably somewhere fantastic. But I think the desire to come back to a familiar place, you know, with a different thought process,
Right.
with wanting to add to our city. And I wanted to take that energy that I experienced at the Hole in the Walls in Atlanta with the open mic nights and the poetry. And then also, you know, what Rome experienced in LA. And,
Yeah.
you know, my
With
mother
the music
in
industry, right? 'Cause he used to be a part of the
Absolutely.
music industry.
Right. And so I think all like collectively, we knew that Vegas, we have everything we need right here.
Right.
We don't need to leave to experience that, but we didn't want to go to the Strip. We didn't want that to always be
The go-to.
right.
Yeah, I understand.
And, you know, as much as we like, you know, gambling and staycations and all of those things, we always, you know, a Cheers is important.
Agreed.
Because I traveled so much for work And I, lived in cities that I didn't really know people. And just I'm a solo traveler too. I travel a lot by myself. So I've gotten very comfortable in finding like that coffee shop, that cocktail lounge where, you meet those friends for a day, or, you connect with, your bartender because, you guys are watching the same game. And, whatever that sense of camaraderie is, I've always found it in coffee shops and cocktail lounges. And so it was nice to be able to say like, wait a minute, we have this great city and we don't have these things. We have them, but everyone has their own vibe, their own style. It's like fashion.
Right.
We all don't like the same coffee shop vibes, you know? Same thing with cocktail lounges. And so we just saw that there was a need to create that real cool, local, off the strip community hub.
See, that's something that's phenomenal, because I've seen downtown grow into a part where we have options now. You have, because especially a couple of years ago when the Urban Lounge was right there. So you had Cork and Thorn is now downtown too. So you have Cork and Thorn if you want to go to Cork and Thorn for their poetry nights and all that other stuff. And then you have Classic where you got the Wine Wednesdays, and you have now the next Classic. There's so much. The next Classic, GBO, all those things, right?
Which is awesome because that is a reflection of our relationships.
Agreed.
Right? The same thing with Well Suited, which, I'm going to just go ahead and say this. No pressure, Sean, but we would love to have Well Suited back at Classic Jewel.
Yeah,
we miss it. Who doesn't love an opportunity to get dressed up? I love getting dressed up. That's like my favorite reason to leave the house.
Right.
And so to have a space where, whether it's for community events, date nights, hookah, to like work, that's a lot of people's office too. I don't think people realize a lot of people come and do work at Classic Jewel.
They do
have meetings at Classic Jewel.
It's like the upgraded version of Starbucks.
Oh, it's the best.
Like, way better.
And we're open later.
That part, like, it's like, okay, Classic is like, everyone goes to Starbucks to handle business, but you can really go to Classic and handle business, have food. Food is phenomenal, by the way.
The network is that was all, the food. I'm gonna just keep it 100. I did not want to do food.
I know you didn't, because like I remember we talked about
it. That was
all wrong, because like like from before you guys got the next when you expanded to the wall. I remember each conversation. I felt like I was exclusive because I knew everything.
And there were so many steps, right?
There were. I remember all of them.
So many steps, and it was like 6 more months, 3 more months, 30 days.
I was like, man, y'all gonna get it done. I always like, they gonna get it done.
But people didn't know what we were, and we're so unique in the sense of we're part of like the live, work, play.
Yes.
And we went through a lot of red tape just to be able to kind of prove the concept. We've seen it in other cities.
Right.
But Vegas really didn't have that, which is odd because if you think of the casinos, you see everything in one space.
True.
But in Las Vegas, it wasn't the same. Like when I lived in Atlanta, I lived in a high rise. We had a restaurant and bar underneath. Like that was very familiar concept to me. New York, it was like the same thing.
San Diego's the same way too.
Right. And
they have like little the clubs is not the same club you think. It's like a whole society.
Right.
It's different. Yeah.
Same. And then, the good thing is Jewel, which I love Jewel. The amenities are awesome there and they're great partners to us. But it was still a new concept. And it was like, well, we have the commercial space and we've got the residential space. And it was just hard for us in terms of like with different inspections because they hadn't seen it before.
Right.
So it was kind of a process. But like you said, downtown is growing. It's okay to be the first at things. It might be a little inconvenient.
Because everyone is like, it's new, but it's okay.
And now it's done. It's done. Right. And it's best for us to have gone through that process so no one else has to go through it that same way.
Round of applause. Come on now. Talk that talk.
Well, you're making it easy.
Come on now. Talk that talk. So, man, this actually gets us ready to go into the first segment. Are you ready to go into the first segment?
I'm ready.
So the first segment is recipe versus the outcome.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to make sure we do it right. With this segment here, we discussed your journey, how you planned the business, what challenges you faced, and how you were able to overcome it. And what was the outcome from it, right? So my first question for you is, can you think of a time that you planned something and it didn't go accordingly? How did you make it work?
Oh, wow. About 100 times just came flooding to my mind. because entrepreneurship is so much trial and error.
I agreed.
So much trial and error. So I have about 100 things I can think of, but let's, on the theme of the kitchen, on the theme of inspections and things like that, I'm going to talk about a time period that, we went in with, our chest out and excited, and it was not that way. So let's bring it back to spring 2020.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
Let's go ahead and.
I know, right? Mood. I don't even need to say what, and we all know the huge elephant in the room.
But that was a booming. Oh man, and I remember that time because it was booming for Classic. And huge shout out to you, Ryan, because I was at that point. I got to CSN. And I did the Raymond Santana event. Mm-hmm. And I guess people left that event because I was still like on work mode.
Yes, and that was a big event.
That was a big event.
Dante was there.
Dante came
had
through.
Had a great experience.
I introduced him. Yeah. And like folks came over to Classic. I didn't even know. And you hit me and was like, yo, Sean, great job. I was like,
because I was hearing I did. We have to acknowledge when people are doing great things. And I hope all of your listeners know, but maybe you can say just a little piece because there was a reason why I reached out. It was so phenomenal to bring his story and how unfortunately relevant it still is today. Right. So, I'm hearing people talking about it over music, over cocktails. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me text my friend and just let him know, like the energy is so positive. And it's because like that momentum was there and just hearing people talk about it, people that I'm close with, people that I don't even know that were there. It's awesome. Like you have a sense of pride. Like I'm so proud to know people that are part of bringing really awesome things here.
No, it was great because I'm thinking, because that's the start of spring 2020. And then it was like still more to come. I know you had things lined up.
Oh, yes.
And then boom. What happened? What was that moment right there?
Okay. So let's take it back. Like you said, we were coming off of a phenomenal time.
Right.
We have great friends and supporters like you, Sean, the Asha Jones of the world, Stephen Horsford. We've got so many great people that support us and that have been in our lives for such a long time.
Right.
And, the opportunities pop up often, but we were on a roll.
Yeah, word.
President Biden had just been there.
He came through. Y'all had folks.
It was great.
Who else? Lil Duval came through.
And this was actually, I was coming from the presidential debate through Battleborn. We had a presence there at some of the events and then also the actual debate. And, you get these calls like, hey, such and such might be coming through. I leave the debate early because I'm like, well, I want to be there. Commissioner Weekly, he was wrapping up his event at the Smith Center. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of things going on that day. So it was like, how do we make everything happen? But, we all wanted to support each other. So
right.
Popping out at all the different events and, they come walking through the door. I'm beaming. I'm so proud. We are entering into 5 years of Classic Jewel. My business partners and I.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Shout out to Jerome, my mother Cherie, who is, goals and everything. She's the best. And she is, the entrepreneur, the owner of Vegas Living Realty.
Talk that talk.
Yes, always. And then my sister Selena, who, Classic Jewel wouldn't have been what it was if it weren't for my sister being here, because I was still in New York.
Come on now, talk that talk.
So the liquor licensing and all that. But anyway, so I just want to make sure I want to shout out my team. We have an amazing team. But so we were coming off of a big high. We had closed on our property. So that's another thing, because my mother is in real estate and has been for 30 years. She always pushes, purchase.
Right.
And so, we were excited. We had closed on 4 units.
Okay.
Literally that month right before. The president had been by, he wasn't the president yet, but we knew he would be.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden everything just stopped. with no end date. It was TBD.
Right.
TBD on life and our livelihood. And so, when you are an entrepreneur, you think like, who is this affecting?
Right.
It was affecting our neighbors over at Jewel. It was affecting, our team because, they can't come to work.
Yeah.
We had zero income coming in for 3 months. So we're not paying rent. We're paying mortgages.
Yeah, it is mortgage. That's a whole different ballgame.
And so then you're thinking about your mental health. You're thinking about your personal relationships. You're thinking about your financial obligations.
Right.
You're just trying to be mentally strong and do things with a smile. But you're like, I remember going to my mom's, who's a neighbor of mine. We like to keep it really close. It's just pretty cool after being away for so long and now to call her my neighbor. But I would go to her for advice, like, what's going on?
Right.
And she would give me a look back like, I don't know. And that's how I knew, because the people that I'd always looked to for answers were like,
yeah, they don't know.
We don't know. This was new territory for everyone.
Right.
And so I think, going into that high in the expectation of, this is going to be phenomenal. We're going to coast into, and what we were talking about before, the lifespan of your business, bars and nightclubs, it's like 3 to 5 years.
3 years, that's true.
So we were entering into year 5, already feeling like, we had doubled our size. Now we own the units. We needed to build a kitchen out. There was just so many things happening, but everything was working out.
Right.
And, you're like, well, how do we stay relevant? And so going into so that was, kind of a recipe for disaster.
Right.
But the way we turned that corner was, doing podcasts, hopping on the Zoom calls, staying up to date with like what was going on with grants, connecting with our team, making sure that they were, still thinking about us because we wanted to bring them back to work ASAP.
Right.
Thinking about, our neighbors. And there was a lot going on in the world too. Not that there isn't now, but, we were actively protesting and we were doing bike rallies with Quiet Storm and our neighbor Gary.
Come on, man.
So there was a lot. There were things that were bigger than our cocktail lounge, but that was our livelihood. And I think when you took that away, I think what it did is it reminded you how important it was.
Right.
Like those after work, I'm just going to show up. Whoever's there, they're going to hear how my day is. Those types of connections. So that's kind of how we got around it, trying to stay top of mind and being positive.
Being positive.
And celebrating the good wins and connecting with our peers that were also going through the same challenges.
So then, you actually answered my second question too, because my second question was, what are some things you experienced that could have worked in theory, but did not go that way in practice, right? And you pretty much answered it because the pandemic affected you, right? It affected the whole business and the world. The world, it affected the world. And let's be real, it affected everyone emotionally, spiritually, physically, in every capacity. But I want to give you a round of applause there and physically because you guys made it through. You guys are back. You were able to make it through because that's one of the toughest things to do was bounce back. There's still businesses I go back into certain spaces that are not there.
They didn't make it.
They didn't make it. And how does that make you feel?
Loved. Loved and supported. And I always like to say, like, we're so much more than a cocktail lounge. And this is the proof, right?
Hey, man, you better come talk that talk, girl. Better talk that out. Because, man, you know what? You made it through the recipe. You gave us that recipe so flawlessly.
I tried.
But, I had to do this to you. You know what I'm about to do to you?
I don't.
I got to put you in that hot seat, girl. I'm so sorry. But
it's been pretty hot the whole time.
It's been pretty hot the whole time.
But I like it. Great question.
Well, thank you so much. And so, I want to go ahead and transition to this segment because this segment, it's not terrible. It's not too hard. I promise. Okay. The segment we provide in-depth questions to learn more about you as a guest, right? So, give me that bag, lady.
Okay.
So, ma'am, first question for you in the hot seat. Who did you look up to growing up?
Oh, this is easy. Cherie Lewis,
Mama.
My mother.
What's up, Mama? How you doing?
Oh, and she asked me on my way. She goes, well, how can I listen in? Is it live? I said, I don't think so. I don't know.
It's not live. No, we record these things and then we post them.
I figure, which is good, right?
Yeah.
No, she is so phenomenal. This is like one of my favorite topics. I take so much pride in the way I live my life as a woman because I'm always trying to be a little bit more like Cherie.
Come on, you better go home talk about Miss Louie.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
The entrepreneurship,
Yes.
her ability to be so cool. That's the thing. A lot of people don't know how cool and how funny my mom is.
Man.
They know her as a businesswoman. She's beautiful,
She is beautiful.
So she's the type of woman that I've always looked up to. She's so graceful. But people, I didn't know how cool she was.
Right.
So it took me, my whole life, really, and moving back here at 29 years old to really see, I'm like, oh, she's hilarious. She's so funny. So she gives the best advice.
Right.
She's a great partner to her husband, who is my business partner, Jerome.
Come on now.
And what that does is it makes us stronger as a team. She's definitely the glue, but she's that friend that's like, buy the shoes. She's that friend that's like, take the trip. She has found a balance as a mother that, we're best friends organically, not even because
That's a blessing right there.
Right.
That's
It's
truly
a
a blessing.
choice. When she chose me to be her friend, I was like, well, I am doing something right as a woman because she doesn't get down like that. She doesn't just call anyone a friend.
No, I agree. I agree with you. So what's one habit you do daily?
Okay, so I am a routine-oriented person. I grew up in a very militant household.
Okay.
And I say that in the best way because discipline is everything.
Right.
I'd like to say that I work out and I read every day, but I don't. But I will say that is probably the closest to a daily activity for me. I pull a lot out of my workouts.
Right.
That it's really about my mental health. It's really not even about the physical so much. I'm able to think, I'm able to kind of process the day before, what I have going on, and it keeps me in a routine because in corporate America, like there were different deadlines, but there was physical pressure that you felt,
Right.
And the pressure that I feel as an entrepreneur is, I want things to go smoothly. I want to make sure that, my team is happy.
Agreed.
My partners are happy. But I think reading and making a point to get physical in some way. I love going to the gym, but sometimes I might be getting on my bike and spinning at home.
Yeah.
Popping on my rollerblades and, heading around downtown coffee shops. I know. I'm real cool like that on the rollerblades. But no, it's staying physical in some way.
Okay.
Whether it's the gym or running outside.
Okay. So what's a favorite tool you use that helps you run your business? What's your favorite tool?
Oh, my favorite tool. Gosh, there's so many. At this point, efficiency is everything.
Ooh,
so
efficiency.
Yeah. So I have an app for pretty much everything.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going to keep it real, the Instacart app. Instacart app. And it is something that I would have never thought would be so helpful.
Right.
But I know my partners can attest all those trips back and forth to the store, all those, we didn't place this order, this has to happen. I think being able to get things on demand all the time is everything. There's been so many little situations that I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But being able to have my payroll apps, delivery apps. I mean, I can be from anywhere and get things done.
That's what makes the recipe.
It's simple, but sometimes we just got to keep it simple.
We got to keep it simple. So what's the best part of working for yourself?
Oh, the freedom. I think, I'm a firm believer that, we're physically, we're mentally as free as we want to be. Physically, we all have different obligations and things like that, but I believe like my freedom to express myself in my fashion, in my tattoos, in my piercings, in my thought process. My 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. is my time.
Better talk that talk, Ryan.
It's my time.
Come on now.
And I wasn't, when I wasn't an entrepreneur, I couldn't say like, this is how my mornings look. I travel all the time, which, you're my friend, you know this.
Yes, that's true.
So that is the best part of having a team that's so awesome and being 6+ years into this, that things can kind of run itself. And now I'm at the point, my partners were at the point where we can get away a little bit more. And that's the reward.
So what's the worst part of working for yourself?
Oh, that there's no, that there's no one else to look to when things go wrong. It's all on you. It's our job. It's our job to make it easier for other people. And, that's the hardest part. But for me personally, it was transitioning from corporate America to entrepreneurship.
Okay. So guess what, ma'am? You made it through the hot seat. It wasn't terrible. I promised you.
I was very comfortable.
See, you was comfortable.
You.
No problem. I promise you. See, I mean, I don't know if we need to change that name. No, I'm gonna keep it the hot seat because I like getting people a little nervous.
Right. I like the pressure. I like it.
So like we're going to the next segment. Our next segment is that sauce.
You lost.
Did you get lost in the sauce?
I do. I remember this. That I remember that. I can't think of physically the
episode,
the video, or the. Oh, but that was a good one.
That was a good one. So cool, because in this segment, it gives us more insight of our guests, where we ask, what is your special ingredient for your business? And it tell us like why nobody can replicate what you do. So Miss Ryan, tell us over this nice Jill Scott beat, what makes Classic Jewel business nobody can duplicate what you do?
Well, I do love Jilly from Philly.
Okay.
So thank you. It's the people. It really is the people. Like, we all have our own tribe, and I don't think one is better than the other. But let me say, Classic Jewel has its own energy.
Better talk that talk.
You know?
She got that own energy. That's true.
It just does.
That's
and
true.
Just like, Starbucks has a different energy than Bad Owl and Makers and Finders.
Right.
It's our own swag. It's people like you that make it that way, that bring, the love of community, the love of cocktails, that the after work energy, the Sunday energy. I mean, there's a little something for everyone at Classic if you want there to be. And I love and this is going back to the secret sauce and the people. It's because they all bring something. They're contributing. They all have taken a certain ownership of Classic Jewel, whether it's our neighbors at Jewel.
That's true.
Whether it's, the community, politicians.
Come on.
Other business owners. Like you said, who hasn't had an event at Classic Jewel?
That is true.
Who hasn't been to Classic Jewel for a fundraiser, a meeting, a women's this, a cigar this, a well-suited this? There's been so many voter registration drives. I mean, there's been so many great organizations like Quiet Storm and housing assistance, and there's just been so many people that we've been able to partner with. That is kind of like you can't make it up. You can't make it up.
You gave us some of that recipe still, and then you gave us that sauce. Because that's where you get lost in the sauce, ladies and gentlemen. Because listen, that is phenomenal because everyone has touched it, and it's good to know that's what's different. Everyone brings sauce to Classic Jewel.
That's the best part.
That's the best part. See, come on now, because now you leading us into our final segment of today. I know it's time for us to go.
Over.
But we're going into that happy hour. And actually, before we go into it,
which, by the way, happy hour every day at Classic Jewel, 4 p.m. to 7.
Oh, see, I like that subliminal plug. See, you see how we did that there? Uncourteous of the Bib Information Buffet podcast.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Whoop. I love gifts.
This is for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.
No problem.
Thank you,
Come
Sarah.
on,
thank you, team. Thank you. And it matches my outfit today.
See, it does. It does. And because in this segment, this is where we give a toast between myself and the guest, right? Where we toast to success and we ask what's going great in your business, big or small. So tell us what's going on great for Classic Jewel.
What's going on great is we have an awesome lineup. Our weekly lineup is so awesome. If you have not been to Classic Jewel on a Wednesday for Wine Wednesday to see Candace Moore or Ali Starr,
yes,
get to it because that has been the best kept secret, I think. We've been doing Wine Wednesday for 6 years now.
6 years, that's right.
So I think every Wednesday, that's the vibe. So we do that great. We have a lot of new faces at Classic Jewel, which is great. Our team has expanded. So I just want to toast to a phenomenal team and to the energy that people like you bring.
Man, come on.
It's just the best.
Shout out to everybody.
Yes.
Shout out to everyone in the city.
To a strong fourth quarter.
So strong fourth quarter to you, to Ryan, your mom, Rome, your sister, the whole Classic family. Shay, shout out to Shay.
Yes,
that's my homie.
My girl Shay.
Shay,
Kim,
shout out Kim.
Rod,
man.
We have an awesome team.
You do.
And I'm so thankful to expand our team. We are as big as we've ever been now.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it a toast to Classic, y'all. Salute. Man, what a phenomenal time. So this does conclude the end of our episode with you, which has been phenomenal and been so right. So, Miss Ryan, please give it a last minute plugs for where people can find you.
You can find me at Classic Jewel. Our handle on Instagram is at Classic Jewel LV. My personal Instagram is at Ryan_Sanada, SANADA. You can find us downtown, 353 East Bonneville at the Jewel High Rise. You can come through for the next classic this Friday. Is First Friday.
First Friday.
Super excited about that. Get to work with my girl Kiera on that.
Yep.
There's just always something. There's always something cooking at Classic.
That's true, because to surprise you, on my birthday, October 8th, which is a Friday, I will be at Classic.
Yes.
I will be up there.
Yes. We have so much going on in October. We have an event with Labeled in the middle of the month. Dominique is bringing retail and therapy, which is such a dope concept. So much to be excited about.
Man, thank you so much, man, for blessing us on the mic today, blessing us on the Bib Podcast. So thank you, Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Sean Torrey, with our DJ Ice Break. We miss you, man. We hope that everything is all right wherever you at, man. Well, we know where you at, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That concludes today's episode. I am your host, Sean Torrey, the Business Information Buffet Podcast, where everybody eats, and we'll catch you next time. We are out, ladies and gentlemen.